I want to welcome everyone. My name is Michelle Wolf. I'm the Executive Director of JLA Pool Trust. And I am joined today here by Alexandra Oatman, who's our wonderful Manager of Marketing and Communication. And she'll be following up with sending out copies of the PowerPoint slides. And she'll also be helping me out with questions you might have. As we go through, please don't be shy about putting your questions into the chat box. Typing your questions into the chat box. That's probably the best way for me to take your questions. And I'll pause at a few places to see if people have questions. And then I'm going to go ahead and start on the presentation. Okay, from beginning. All righty. So we're here today to talk about introduction to government benefits. We're mostly going to be covering SSI, Medi-Cal, and IHSS. We're going to be having another special presentation next month just on regional centers. Alexandra, I forget what the date, what's the date on that?
I believe it's May 8th. It's not up on our website yet. Maybe it's May 11th, but keep checking jlatrust.org because I'll put up a banner. It'll be on our calendar. Yeah.
And we'll send out another constant contact.
Yes. So we'll send out an email about it too.
Yeah. So we're not going to really get into regional centers or DMH. We don't have a whole lot of time. We're going to try to do the presentation for about 45 minutes and then Q&A. And I know I need a hard stop at 5:30. And, we'll just see how it goes. So we're going to be covering government benefits and also some particular issues with our ongoing, but hopefully declining COVID-19 situation. Then we're going to go into government benefits, SSI, Medi-Cal, and IHSS. And that's all really kind of preliminary to our purpose and use of special needs trusts. And then we're going to talk specifically about the kind of trust that our agency offers, which is pooled special needs trusts. And then we have three options in JLA. And then it's really important that everyone who has special needs or has a loved one with special needs know about the new CalAble savings accounts, which are offered through the state of California Treasurer's Office, because special needs trust and CalAble can work together quite nicely. Welcome, Deborah. All right. So, first of all, with COVID-19 benefit updates. So I think most people know that the third stimulus checks have mostly been either mailed out or a direct deposit into your, if you have ongoing monthly checks from the government, like from SSI, there is a direct deposit into those accounts. I think actually the SSI ones just hit today or tomorrow. So some of them are still going out. It's good to know that those stimulus checks are not a countable resource. So you can go over that usual max of 2,000 at any one time, but you do need to spend those stimulus checks in 12 months. And one great place to park those stimulus checks for someone with a disability is in an ABLE account, a CalAble tax advantaged account. And also, some people, especially initially in the pandemic, were discouraged from applying for new benefits. Offices shut down and there wasn't a good way to get a hold of staff. But everybody's either working remotely or working in offices, even if they can't see the public. So don't put off applying for new benefits just because we're still in the time of Corona. And for those of you who are regional center, you should know that you can get more respite hours, childcare hours for people over the age of 18 or 22. There's independent living skills, and there's something called state of emergency. So while we're in state of emergency, and that was the declaration of Governor Newsom, the additional hours are available. It's not clear if those hours are going to terminate June 15th or if they'll go to the end of August, which was the original deadline. So in government benefits, many of these programs have both asset and income limits. So asset, that's what most of us would think about as like our savings account, or if we have bonds or if we have stocks, kind of a longer term asset. And then income is what is the money coming in monthly. And the really important thing to know about government benefits, they're only designed to get you to the federal poverty level, which is pretty darn low. So in 2021, for one person, that's $12,880. And for 100% of federal poverty level, sometimes referred to as FPL, that's only 26,500. And the problem is these are national numbers. And outside of Alaska and Hawaii, the numbers are the same for all 48 contiguous states. So that's a big problem because, as we all know, Southern California costs are much higher than many other parts of the country. So on the left-hand side, we have need-based benefits. And so that's looking at a beneficiary's income level. And then on the right-hand side of this chart, we have entitlement benefits. Whoops, I went too far. Welcome, Shelley. Entitlement benefits. So that means you're going to get this benefit, and it doesn't matter how much money. You could be Bill Gates, you could be Elon Musk, and you would still, if you got disabled in the workplace, those gentlemen would still qualify for SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. When people say they're going on disability, what that really means is they're going on SSDI. And then Medicare, which most people know is available to US citizens over the age of 65. What people may not know is if you are disabled and you're receiving SSDI, you can also qualify for Medicare even if you're under the age of 65. And I like to share this information because this is not a well-known benefit, but when a parent of an adult child with a disability applies for their own Social Security retirement, they are entitled to something called childhood disability benefit. And the way it works is the parent, let's say, I'll use my own family, let's say it's my husband, he retires at the age of 66. He gets, let's say, $1,200 a month. My son, Danny, who was disabled at the age of, I don't know, 11 months, he is entitled as an adult disabled beneficiary to get 50% of that $1,200 or $600. Well, my husband still gets that $1,200. And then, God forbid, the parent should pass away, then that adult child would be entitled to 75% of the parent's Social Security retirement after the parent passes. And the way you apply for this is when the parent is applying for Social Security retirement benefits, there's a little box that you have to check, and you have to show medical documentation to prove that you have a child who was disabled before the age of 22 and is now over the age of 18. So this, in other words, the person had to be disabled as a child, but is now legally an adult. So what is not counted for SSI? In other words, what kind of resources are you allowed to have and still have SSI? So a house that the person with disability lives in, can't be a rental property. It has to be someplace where they're actually living. One car, either the person with disabilities is driving it, or a caregiver or a family member is driving that person with disabilities around in that car. A life insurance policy, burial plot, a burial fund, household goods. So the main thing that is really, really important is that for SSI and Medi-Cal, resources cannot exceed $2,000 for any individual or a child, and it cannot exceed more than 3,000 for a couple or parents. So what is SSI and why would I want it? So the main thing about SSI is it really provides a cash grant. So the maximum is the maximum in 2021 that you could receive in California is 943. Whoops, 943. 783 from the feds. 160 is the California supplement. The most you're able to earn and still get SSI in this calendar year is $1,310. It's for adults 65 or older, blind and disabled of any age. And you're only allowed that $2,000 at any one time in terms of your resources. Children who are minors under the age of 18 can also qualify if the parents are low income and have less than $3,000. So one of the very best things about SSI is you get this nice automatic linkage to Medi-Cal, which is Medicaid in California. And there's a few different kinds of Medi-Cal, and this SSI linked Medi-Cal is the best because there's no copays. Any question? I'll stop here for a sec. Do we have any questions from anybody? So for people who came in, please don't be shy. Put your questions, type them into chat. If you want to raise your hand. Deborah, you have a question? Anybody want to be brave and say?
I have a question.
Randy.
What if your husband retired at 62 and didn't check the box because at that point we thought we had a different plan?
Sure. So he needs to contact the Social Security Administration and let them know that he now wants to apply for that.
My husband, you mean?
Your husband, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, Christopher. Okay, I'll jump back in to the PowerPoint, but don't be shy about typing in those questions or raising your hand. So SSI has this really stupid and difficult to understand rule called ISM, which stands for in-kind services and maintenance. So the theory is if somebody else is paying for a beneficiary's basic board and care, so food, rent, basic utilities, that the beneficiary doesn't need as much money. And so the federal government goes ahead and reduces by 1/3 whatever that monthly income is from SSI.
Stupid.
So the max is 284 in 2021. And
is that just for SSI?
that is for SSI, yes.
Okay.
So it's a stupid rule. Some advocates are working to change this rule, but for now we have to live with it. So one of the really important workarounds is that you can use those CalAble accounts to pay for rent without having to face this ISM, this in-kind services and maintenance penalty. So keep that in mind when we get to the CalAble towards the end of the presentation.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Does this apply to people who only who started getting SSI but only get SSDI now because they're under the disabled adult child rule?
No, so the ISM, it's a good question, only applies to people who receive at least $1 of SSI. If you're only getting SSDI, it does not apply.
Okay.
I'll answer this question. Does SSI decrease if a person goes back to work? So yeah, what happens is if you're on SSI and you work, the government will deduct 50 cents on the dollar, but you always come out ahead when you work, meaning you keep whatever salary you're earning, and then you keep 50 cents on the dollar from SSI up to that maximum of what was that? I think $1,310. So there used to be this myth that you shouldn't work if you're on SSI, but that's really not true. And I don't know why my presentation is stuck.
Don't work.
My presentation got stuck, so I got to go back into it.
Michelle, do you see the question? How much do I have to make to get Medi-Cal monthly for a family of 4?
You're not allowed to make more than $1,310. Let me go back to that slide. Yeah, the maximum monthly is that $1,310.
Okay.
It's low. Now there's different kinds of Medi-Cal. So there's other kinds of Medi-Cal where you can earn more than that. You can earn 250% of federal poverty level. So there are some different options. If you think you qualify, you should definitely get in touch with your county Department of Social Services, DPSS, LA County DPSS, and talk to one of their intake clients. All right, what is Medi-Cal? So that's Medicaid in California, and Medi-Cal pays for a lot of different things. So it pays for obviously medical care, but also durable equipment, wheelchairs, insulin pumps. It can even pay for ramps. It can even pay, for safety bars, grab bars, like in the bathroom. Really important, it pays for prescription medication as long as that medication is on the formulary. So it has to be on the list of Medi-Cal. So some new and expensive medications are not on the formulary. It certainly pays for end of life and hospice. There is a requirement of managed care, and Medi-Cal's requirements are very similar to SSI. Although, like I said, there's a little more wiggle room when it comes to income with Medi-Cal. Okay. It used to be in California that if you got SSI, you could not get food stamps. That rule has changed, and now California residents can get CalFresh. That's what we call food stamps in California. They're really encouraging people during the pandemic to apply for CalFresh. Welcome, Anna. If you are approved, you'll get like a debit EBT card that you use for eligible purchases. The average is about $130 a month. A lot of people get less than that. And a lot of people say, why bother if it's, $40, $50
It's a lot.
But yeah, every little bit, right, Pam? Every little bit helps. Okay. So I presented all that information about government benefits because government benefits are really important and really essential for many people with disabilities to have a higher quality of life. But it's not enough to live on because it only gets you barely to the federal poverty level. So what's the solution? There's two solutions. One is a special needs trust and the other is the CalAble accounts. So what a special needs trust does
Private assets and has
is it lets you supplement.
Wow, the same allowing. Well, the same thing allowing.
Whoever is speaking, if you could unmute yourself, please, and put your question in chat or raise your hand. Thank you so much. So the special needs trust supplement the government benefits, not supplant. So what that means is the money in your trust is supposed to use for things that cannot be paid by Medi-Cal. So if Medi-Cal will pay for a medical procedure, then you would not use the money in your trust to pay for that procedure. But there's a lot of things that Medi-Cal and particularly Denti-Cal for your teeth that are not covered well. And so a special needs trust can be used to pay for those
At the same time,
benefits.
must
They
be used as
must be
primary for
for full benefit.
must be used as
beneficiary.
primary.
Could you please mute yourself?
Okay. I'm
Must-
going to ask everyone to please mute yourself unless you raise your hand. Raise your hand and I'll be happy to call on you and then you can unmute. You can also put your questions in chat.
Things.
So I'll go back to some of the questions. Let me go back. Please point out that if the SSI beneficiary has private health insurance, Medi-Cal is very valuable, right? Because Medi-Cal will pick up all those extra costs of deductibles and copays. Yeah, they're always, I think I'm getting to that slide next. They're always going to bill your private health insurance first because that's a higher reimbursement rate. And then Medi-Cal or Medicare are usually secondary. If you have both Medicare and Medi-Cal, Medicare is going to be primary because the reimbursement rate is higher. Medicaid pays for monthly premiums, deductibles, and co-pays for Medicare. Very good. We have some very knowledgeable people with us. That's great. I'll go back to the slideshow. And I don't know why I keep getting stuck. I have to hang on a second. Welcome, Lori. All right. Let me go back to Medi-Cal for 1 minute. I'm gonna keep it on this slide because it's easier. And so, yeah, this is what I was just saying. You can have both Medi-Cal and Medicare at the same time. That's known as Medi-Medi. Sometimes they call that dual eligible. Okay, we talked about the food stamps. We're in the trust now. So one really important aspect of a special needs trust, it has to be used for the benefit of the beneficiary. So what that means is, and they have to be irrevocable. So what that means is once there's money in a special needs trust, you can't break it. You can't take the money out and use it for another family member. God forbid a sibling, a mother, an aunt gets cancer. You cannot take the money out of the special needs trust and use it to pay for another family member's medical care. The good news is a special needs trust lets the beneficiary have the benefits of those programs we were just talking about, SSI, Medi-Cal, in-home supportive services, and also the benefits of the assets, plus any investment income. So here's some important legal terms when we're talking about a special needs trust. There's always somebody giving the money. That person is known as the settlor, the grantor, or the trustor. In California, usually the term settlor is used. There's always a trustee. That is the person with the fiduciary responsibility. And what that means is the government is saying it's like a banker. You can't just take a beneficiary's money and run off to Tahiti. That would be illegal and you could be thrown into jail for that. So the trustee has to be someone with a high degree of responsibility and trust. And then there's always a beneficiary. That is the person or the entity that gets the benefits of the trust. So a lot of middle-class families, they go see a trust and estate attorney. They set up a special needs trust in their estate plan, and then they name a family member as the trustee. They name a sibling, a cousin, a family member who's an attorney, And so the problem with that is not at all the best practice. What happens if something happens to that individual? What happens if it creates a lot of tension and disagreement between that family member and the beneficiary? What happens if the beneficiary is texting that family trustee 10 times a day saying, I want more money for video games. Why won't you give me more money out of my for video games? So you could see why that could create a lot of tension. So the best practice is to use a professional trustee. That would be a lawyer, a bank, like the trust division of Wells Fargo. But there's a catch. You're going to need, or a licensed professional fiduciary. Those professional trustees don't want to talk to you unless you have at least $500,000. And so a lot of us don't have that kind of money, even with life insurance, even if we sell our house. So what's the solution? So the solution is a pooled special needs trust. That's what our nonprofit provides. Pool trusts are required by federal law to be operated by a nonprofit. We have something called a master trust agreement, which governs all the participants. It's like a big umbrella. And our master trust was written by an attorney, Stu Zimring, who's an expert in the field. He's both a local and actually a national expert. He literally wrote the book on special needs trusts. So we're really fortunate to have that kind of legal mind helping us write our master trust agreements. And then people come in under that umbrella of the master trust by signing a simple legal agreement that's called a joinder. And it's just, and all of this, by the way, all of these documents are available at any time on our website. I'm going to try to jump back into the slideshow. And we already talked about this one. And so why would you use a pool trust? So there's a lot of benefits, especially for people who don't have $1 million to put into the trust. You use that joinder agreement, so it's a much cheaper setup fee. Our enrollment fee is $1,250. If you go talk to a private attorney, they're going to charge you anywhere from $3,000 up to do that initial setup. A lower minimum amount for professional trustee services, a potentially higher rate of return of investments, because what happens is we take Joe's 50,000 and Mary's 150,000 and Michael's 300,000, and that money's combined just for investment purposes, similar to a mutual fund. And so then those three individuals are likely to get a higher rate of return on their investments than if they just took those individual amounts. And really, really important, using a pool trust minimizes those conflicts of interest from family members or their spouses. So we offer 3 kinds of trusts. We have a first party, and that's what happens if people don't plan ahead. Let's say, God forbid, a grandparent passes away and they leave money for all their grandchildren, including one of their grandchildren who has autism, and there's no special needs trust. So let's say that person's 20 years old. That 20-year-old person with autism would need to create a first party trust to keep their benefits, and there's a Medi-Cal payback. The third party trust I call planning ahead. Don, I'll ask your question in just a minute. That's money from parents, grandparents, or other family members. And there's no Medi-Cal payback. And both of those have a $20,000 minimum, so we could start making disbursements. We have a third option called future funded for people who want to plan ahead. And so that only requires a $200 deposit, $600 enrollment fee, and no disbursements are made until funds are at 20,000. I see we got a lot of hands raised. I'll pause. Don, you were the first one. Can you unmute and ask your question, please?
Yeah, if when you're referring to your company, can someone who doesn't live in California join?
No, so our pool trust, our master trust only covers the state of California, but there are other pool trusts. Every state has at least one or two pool trusts. So you could enroll in a pool trust. What state are we in? Dawn, what
Oh,
state?
me?
Yeah,
I'm in Iowa.
so let me make a note. I know there's a couple of pool trusts in Iowa. And like I said, they're all run by nonprofits. So I'm sure there's one or two nonprofits in Iowa who could help you out. Randy, you had your hand raised.
Okay, so what if you already had a special needs trust written by that man that you just talked about?
Oh, by Stu. And you want to change us
Steve?
to the trustee? Talk to Stu. Yeah.
Oh, Stuart. Oh, so maybe I'm wrong. I'm talking about Steve Dale. So
Okay,
maybe
so
that,
Steve Dale didn't write ours. Steve Dale is another really great guy who's a lawyer. He
but what
created,
if I have a trust written by him, but there's nothing in it? Could I?
talk to Steve Dale. Yeah, he's a friend. We call each other friendly competitors.
So he would tell me how I could work with you with his trust?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You'd
Okay,
have to
thank you.
talk about different options with him.
Thank you.
Sure. Was there another hand raised? I think we got some. Alexander, is there any questions in?
No more.
Okay. All right. Keep those questions coming. We want to.
I see Shelley has her hand raised.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. For somebody who has a disabled person who has Medicare and private insurance,
Okay.
and now I forget the question.
Are you asking why would they need a trust?
Well, they still need a special needs trust, correct?
Well, they maybe not. I mean, the main goal of a special needs trust is to retain eligibility for those means tested government benefits I was just discussing.
Uh-huh.
So there are some people who really don't need them. Although I'll be honest, almost every disabled person towards the end of their life could really benefit from Medicaid, Medi-Cal in California. So
Even with both private insurance and Medicare.
well, the biggest problem
Medicare?
the biggest problem is Medicare does not cover in-home care, and it depends on your private insurance. So the problem is most health insurance products do not cover in-home care.
Uh-huh.
And also they don't cover skilled nursing. So Medi-Cal, which is Medicaid, nationally, that's the only program out there that will cover in-home care and skilled nursing.
Uh-huh.
So, you'd have to check over your private health insurance and see if it covers either skilled nursing or in-home care. Most of them don't. The only way that they cover it is usually it's a rider called long-term care insurance.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So that's why that's why your loved one might need Medi-Cal down the road.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. No, good questions. Very reasonable questions.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a partnership with a financial services company called TrueLink based in San Francisco. They use high tech to support individuals with disabilities. They are our investment partner, and they are picking the stocks and bonds that are in these Charles Schwab custodial accounts. We have 3 different portfolios: conservative growth, and moderate. People can request disbursements online or via phone, and through TrueLink, we use a restricted use Visa card that works more like a debit card. So for each client for whom it's appropriate, we have a spending plan and like a monthly allowance based on that individual spending plan. So for example, $50 a month for a cell phone, $50 a month for internet, $50 a month for either gas or using Uber or Lyft, and $50 a month for personal care items like shampoo and deodorant. So that $200 a month gets loaded onto that card the first of every month. And it can be used in those categories that I just delineated. So it's a highly personalized, individualized system. And like when someone needs, let's say, dental care that's not covered by Medi-Cal, and they have a dental bill, let's say of $1,000, that money could be loaded on to the card. Okay,
There's only a couple of people not muted.
I know. Let me
Could be
go back.
Kathy, you can mute Kathy and Dawn and Sanjita.
Okay,
Kathy, Dawn and Sanjita.
thanks for the help.
By the way, while we're interrupted, one question, which was, do you need a trust for a 4-year-old child? What things change over?
Not necessarily. The only reason I would think about setting up a future funded trust for a child that young would be thinking about assets that could be coming in from older relatives like grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. So if family members want to designate money and want to put that money aside, that would probably be a good planning tool. Most people don't establish these special needs trusts until, usually teenage or age 18. Are there any other questions? Changes that in time they could be independent. So, you can be fully independent and still have a trust. So someone could be pretty capable, but still might not. It still might be a good idea to have somebody investing their money and making sure that, the money is spent in a prudent manner. Also, there's protection from predators, from people trying to, grab people's money. Don't know why my slideshow keeps sticking. So I'll go back in a different way. All right.
Can I ask you a question, Michelle?
Yes.
So then with the third party trust, since you can have the debit card and they can use the money from the pooled trust, they can use money out of that account?
Right. So everybody, it's a pool trust because of two reasons. We use that master trust to set it up. And from the investment point of view, we're combining money just for investment purposes. But everybody has their own sub account, right? So once there's $20,000, the beneficiary can withdraw money, right? We have a different term for it. We call it a disbursement. They can request a disbursement from their own individual trust account.
Okay, so then why would you have, now that I'm saying this, I think I might be answering my question, but so like the difference between a CalAble account, if you can use that money, or a pooled trust.
Right, so I'm just about to get to that.
Oh, okay.
I think that's literally the next slide. You set me up for that.
Okay.
So anyway, here's details about our future funded, which is probably for most of you on the call, going to be your best option. I like to say, I'll hold up my little drinking glass. With the future funded, you're setting up that drinking glass, and at some later time, you're going to pour in liquid assets. If you have complicated real estate, a pool trust is probably not a good option. you'll probably need to go with a standalone trust. I don't know why I just keep sticking. Very,
Would you just repeat that last word? You probably wouldn't go with a pooled trust, but you'd need a,
a standalone, just a regular special needs trust with a professional fiduciary.
just a regular trust. Okay.
Yeah, I still would recommend a professional fiduciary instead of a relative. So,
I have a
what-
question.
yeah, question?
Yes, what about a special needs trust that I'm going to have set up where a family member has gifted me a small condo, nothing that I can make money off of, where it has extra rooms or anything.
Uh-huh.
What's the best type of trust or financial vehicle to put that in?
You're gonna need to talk to an attorney because it depends on the title of that condo.
Now, what else I was going to say is I have an attorney who does not specialize in special needs trusts, but he only charges about $1,000. But then when I looked for people who specialize in special needs trust, that's all they do. They want $3,500, give or take. So do you think I should go with the person that wants more?
Well, you know what, here, I'm gonna put my, I have some other attorneys that won't charge you that much. You definitely need to talk to an attorney about that condo. So send me an email, okay, afterwards.
Okay, wait, you have attorneys that won't charge for setting up that type
No,
of trust?
they're gonna charge, but they're not gonna charge as much.
Okay, I'll send you an email at what address?
It's right there in chat, mwolf@jlatrust.org.
Can you say that again? I don't see it written anywhere.
Okay, it's in the chat box. And
Okay, I just still don't.
Alexandra, you'll send it out to everyone, right?
Yeah, I'll send it in the email I send out after. It also, when Michelle gets back into the presentation, I know it's on the last slide if you can't see the chat box, but the chat box is accessible. If you're on a computer, it's along your bar. You can kind of toggle it just by clicking chat.
Can you just give me the address though, verbally?
No. Not right now, Chris. I need to get back to my presentation, okay? I promise we'll email you it, okay, Alexandra?
Okay, you'll email it to me then, okay.
Okay, hang on, everybody. So there was somebody asked a question. We already have a special needs trust payable about the death of a grandparent. Can we pool with you? It really depends on the wording of the trust. Some trusts that are already created, we cannot convert into a pool trust. So again, that's a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. That is an attorney question. Okay, I just want to cover a little bit on those ABLE accounts.
Already?
It's a little frustrating that I keep getting stuck. Alexandra, you have any ideas why I'm
No, I have no idea.
really, I don't usually have this problem.
No, you don't.
Okay, anyway, here, I'll have to show it like full screen. Sorry about the technical problem. Anyway, ABLE accounts. So as we were talking before, there's this big problem that these many government programs require no more than $2,000 without impacting SSI. So one option is the ABLE program. So you can now save up to $15,000 per year and over multiple years, $100,000 in total before your SSI is impacted. So that amount is based on the IRS gift tax exemption, and that changes year to year. Okay, whoever we hear somebody's TV in the background, please mute or turn off your TV. For CalAble, you can only have one ABLE account. Let me just say, CalAble is modeled on the Golden Share college savings account. and it's also run by the same company, TIAA CREF. You can only open a CalAble account online. You can't just walk into any bank and open it.
I'll be damned.
The beneficiary is always the account owner. And it can be opened either by the beneficiary or a parent or a legal representative. And they function both like a savings and checking account. And the funds are tax exempt as long as they're spent on disabled expenses. So you might ask, what kind of disabled expenses? Brother. So that would be college or any kind of vocational training, but also housing. Remember I talked about that bad, stupid SSI rule called ISM, in-kind services and maintenance, that if someone else pays for an SSI beneficiary's rent, they could lose 1/3 of their SSI. Well, if you use the CalAble account to pay for housing, you do not incur that 1/3 penalty. So that's a big advantage. CalAble and Special Needs Trust can work together very nicely. You can move money back and forth. There's no penalties. Experts are recommending to use the Special Needs Trust more like a savings account and use the ABLE account more like a checking account, especially if someone is earning money from a job, earned income. CalAble lets you save a lot more money than you can with just straight SSI. So to open up a CalAble account, it's very simple. You just go, I'll give you the website in just a minute. It's just calable.org. So the big picture is that we should really be looking at 3 different accounts: a personal checking account to get those government payments of SSI or SSDI, a CalAble account when that checking account starts to go over $2,000, and then a third-party special needs trust. That's planning ahead for long-term and over a lifetime. I do have some consultations. Actually, April is completely full, so there are some consultations available in May and in June. And here's all the information to contact us. I'm gonna show you the CalAble website in just a minute. And in the meantime, Alexandra, are there any questions?
Yes, we missed one from Esther that, so if you have a pooled trust and the beneficiary passes and there was a lot of money in it, let's say $500,000, would the money go to the pooled trust or could a sibling receive their assets?
It depends. That's all depends on the designation. It depends how you designate the beneficiaries.
I mean, it's really a first party versus third party issue.
Yeah, yeah. So with us, with our third party pool trusts, you can designate a sibling or any family or any heirs. You could designate another charity. Pool trusts actually have the legal ability to retain up to 100% of what's called trust remainders. But our board of directors has chosen that we're only keeping 10% in the third party special needs trust. With the first party, basically anything that gets left over ends up getting paid to Medi-Cal. The Medi-Cal bills are quite usually upwards of $200,000. Was there another question?
How does a person qualify for an ABLE account?
Okay, so that's a great question. So I will show you, here we are on the CalAble website. Very simple, calable.org, who is eligible. So it's basically anyone who got disabled before the age of 26. So it's people who are eligible have to have a documented disability that they have medical records for. that they can show that they were disabled. And they were disabled enough to qualify for SSI or SSDI.
Well.
I'm gonna put the CalAble URL in the chat. So you can, everyone can grab that website. And what was that other question? Don is saying people with a disability that started before age 26 are eligible. Right. Boy, Don, you should be running this. You got it. Right. So it's pretty broad, the people who qualify for CalAble. And it only takes $25. You can open a CalAble account, which is $25. And they also have a number of investment options similar to our investment options. And they also have a card, like a prepaid Visa card that you can use to pay for expenses. 2 participants raised hands. Are those new hands?
I believe Diane's definitely is.
Okay, Diane, unmute and ask your question.
Hi, my autistic son is 24 and his father died, and we want to know whether to take the survivor's benefits or to stay with SSI.
So first of all, my condolences
Thank you.
on the passing of his dad. You know, the answer would be it depends. Usually, it depends, frankly, how much your husband earned, you know, what his highest lifetime earnings were. For most people, the survivor benefits are going to be more than SSI. But you should actually call up Social Security and ask.
Yeah,
Or
they said I should apply for SSI, which we're already getting. And then the decision would be made whether he will get survivors or SSI.
Right.
So I'm confused about that. He's already getting SSI.
Yeah, but he can earn, he might be able to earn, Shelley, I see your hand, just one sec.
Yeah.
He might be able to get a combination of
Oh.
survivors benefits and then just like $50 of SSI.
Mhm.
They're going to get him to that threshold of $1,310, $1,310.
Because the survivor's benefit is 2,000. So the SSI is, you know,
So
no more.
it sounds like he'll end up with the survivor's benefits.
Okay. All right. And another question, can you make a third party trust? Can you be the remainder beneficiary? So if your kid dies, the money would go to you, although except you're the parent. Is that
Yes,
okay?
you can, but you know, typically chronologically, it doesn't work that way. But yeah, you could list a number of remainder beneficiaries. You can list anyone you want.
Mhm. Great, thank you.
Sure, thanks. And again, I'm sorry on the passing. Randy and then Shelley.
Yeah, I had a comment about the last question.
Okay.
Shall I proceed or?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Shelley.
Okay. Like Michelle said, one can have SSI and benefits based on a parent's retirement. You can have both. The thing is, if one has SSI, then those rules about no more than $2,000 are in effect. If you only have the based on retirement benefits and not the SSI, those rules are not in effect.
Correct.
Hi. How are
Okay.
you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Shelley, you're very
Well, I just went through that.
You are in the Air Force.
You're very knowledgeable. Yes.
Thank you.
Don't worry. It's unmute.
Okay, Randy, why don't you unmute and ask your question?
You said something about Medi-Cal and 200,000. Is that what you're saying you would owe from the trust?
Yeah, so what I was saying is most of our clients who pass away, are older, thank God, And what's happened is over the course of their lifetime, Medi-Cal has paid for a lot of costs, including in-home supportive services. If they're regional center clients, the regional center actually behind the scenes is billing Medi-Cal for a number of services. So what I'm saying is for my clients we've only had, thank God, like 7 or 8 clients pass away. The lowest bill from Medi-Cal has been 200,000. So what ends up happening is, let's say there's only $50,000 left in the trust. All of that goes to pay the Medi-Cal bill, and then there's nothing left for heirs. That's only first party. That's only first party. With third party, there's no Medi-Cal payback.
So a third party is if I was to make a grantor trust,
Correct.
that's a third party. So that wouldn't count then.
Correct. So
Okay.
unfortunately, what I hear from families is, my mom always meant to do a special needs trust, set it up for my sister. She never got around to it. Mom unfortunately passed away. Money got split between the 2 adult daughters. One had special needs, one did not. The one with special needs then has to take that half of inheritance and put it into a first party trust in order to keep Medi-Cal and SSI. And then ends up with the payback, at the back end. Yeah. Randy, you're muted. Oh, well, you were in.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all.
Sure. Did somebody else have their hand raised? Or any other questions? All righty. You've been a great group. I know it's late in the afternoon and people are starting to get ready to leave work or think about dinner. 3 participants raised hands. I think take down your hands if you don't have a question. All right. I think we're gonna bring it to a close. Alexandra, you had something?
Does Lori have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just looking at my screenshots. Is the future funded option the same as the pooled trust?
Yes.
That is the pooled trust.
Yes, that's one of our pool trust options. Let me actually, I'm gonna very briefly, I'll share a page from our website that Alexandra has put together, and I highly recommend you spend some time on our website, watch the videos. It's called Types of Trusts. So we have, like I said, we have 3 options: the first party, the third party, first party active, third party active, and then the future funded. So the future funded is really an inactive form of the third party trust. I think is the easiest way to think of it. And our website is jlatrust.org. And like I said, I definitely encourage you to spend some time on our website. And we also include information on our investment portfolios. For those of you who are curious, what's in our investment portfolios. We have, we fully disclose our cost and fees. We have our FAQs. So I'm gonna put it in chat. And I really encourage you, spend some time. And you're very welcome. I'm glad we can provide this information. I know as a parent myself, a few years ago, I was trying to figure stuff out, and like there didn't seem to be a good place to get all this information in one place that wasn't in gobbly legal speak, that was in, it was accessible that I could understand. So I'm happy to share with all of you what I have learned in my own journey. And you're all very welcome. So look for our emails. There'll be an email coming out. What would you say, Alexandra?
I'll send it out in a bit. It'll be this afternoon. I mean, or evening, I guess it's now evening. I have everybody's email addresses from the Eventbrite sign up. So if you, for whatever reason, didn't go through that, I don't have your email address, but everybody else will get a copy of the slides so you can refer back to them.
Thank you.
And we probably will upload a recording of this at a later date, but the slides will at least be immediate. And that'll have a link to Michelle's email address and our website so that you guys can refer back to those things.
Yay. It's good to have help. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your good questions. And look forward to talking to many of you in follow-up one-on-one.
When is follow-up 101?
I said to follow up one-on-one. All right, good night.